her campaign from Lake Forest Resort and Collection. So what's Lake Forest Resort and Collection? It ends up that Lake Forest Collection, Resort and Collection is a birther home, right? In my opinion and in my investigation. And who owns this birther home? None other than Benjamin Yu and his family, right? They own this birther home. Benjamin Yu and his family. And remember, the lady who got busted for birthing, right, made $10 million, spent 10 months in jail, and paid $1 million fine. Now, if you ask 80% of citizens if they would, for $9 million, spend 10 months in jail, 80% to 90% of these people would do so. So, Nikki puts Benjamin Yu, right, who's currently running for State Assembly 68 as a traffic commissioner. Right? So, you start doing a little bit of investigation. What's on his resume? What are the financial forms, right? So, he's saying that he's a disabled veteran. He says that his disability is a mental disability. So if he has a mental disability, how did he even pass the ASVAB? How did he even get in? And we've been asking him for his DD-214, right? Because the DD-214 is given to everybody who is discharged from the military for whatever reason and could be made public. I've asked repeatedly for him to give me the, hey, you went to the military, you went to the Army, and you can't speak English. He barely speaks English, all right? So to add to the story, he's running for state assembly in the 5th largest economy in the world. He barely can speak English. There's no record that he even graduated high school. And when he was giving his story, when he applied, there was a vacancy on the Lake Forest City Council, and he applied for a position, right? And when he was giving his speech at the city council applying for the position, he stated that he was a stockbroker, right? This guy who can barely speak English says that he was a stockbroker on Wall Street before he went to the military, right? Now, usually, before you become a stockbroker, you go to the military first. And usually stockbrokers have more of an education than high school dropout. So he barely can speak English. And suddenly, he has, let's share the screen again. Right? He has $100,000 to run for state assembly. Okay? However, obviously what it seems like is that he is part either of some sort of Chinese organized crime, and they got all this money from birther tourism and they want to get to the state assembly. Or he could be working for the Chinese government. I am not making this up. As crazy as it sounds, this is what the evidence is leading us to believe. And as I share screen again, we show him having $170,000 to run and then loaning himself $100,000, right? But the story does not end there, because as you look at his Right here, those are his expenditures where he has $100,000. Let's go to those are his contributions. Let's look at his expenditures. All right. So let's look at his expenditures and let's look at money laundering. So I have securities licenses. So we go to these money laundering classes. And if this was a question on a test, this would be clear money laundering. All right. Office expenses itemized on the bill are Schedule F, right? So we're going to have to look at Schedule F. Consultant, campaign consultants, $3,000. Persuade public relations. Persuade public relations. It could be a guy who's a pedophile, a guy who's a prison guard who sold drugs in a Michigan jail by the name of John Bush. And I'll put in the episode notes a column that I did on political consultant John Bush, who, coincidentally, John Bush, let me see if I can find it. John Bush tried to file a restraining order against me, and I got the case dismissed because he perjured himself. For some reason, these guys are terrified of me, and they're doing crazy stuff. All right? So persuade public relations, $3,000. That's probably him. All right? And again, that would be money laundering. But you see these credit card fees? That's a lot. All right? Meetings and appearances. So he's paying his mom money for refreshments. Sort of money laundering. So this is where the money laundering comes in, right? Office expenses, $25,000. All right? So he looks to be money laundering at least $60,000 in money laundering with so-called office expenses on his credit card, and he's probably got a bogus itemization. Okay? So to recap, Benjamin Yu, right, gives $1,500 to Nikki in 2018 so she can run for city council. Then Nikki puts him on the traffic commission, right? He lives in Baker Ranch where 4 houses were busted for birthism. He barely has he doesn't have a college degree. He does not have a high school diploma. He lied his city council application saying he was a stockbroker before he was a grunt in the military. Supposedly, he has a mental disability. They gave him a disability. That's why he's not in the military. And he's making money on his financial forms with a company called Omni Partners, right? So let's pull up the internet and find out who Omni Partners is. Right? Here we go with our Omni Partners. All right. So on the screen you should see Omni Partners. And what they are, they're an investment firm in the UK, right? So they're an investment firm in the UK. Let's read their disclaimer, right? It is important to read this page before proceeding. Omni Partners LLP has not taken the steps to ensure that the products and services referred on this website are suitable for any particular investor. Distribution of this information contained on this website may be restricted by law in certain countries, and persons who access it are required to inform themselves and observe such restrictions. Investors or prospective investors should rely on the funds offering documents, right? So that's the next step, is contacting these people and finding out, do you know who Benjamin Yu is? And why are you giving him so much money to run for state assembly? He's known as a consultant, right? Benjamin Yu, the guy who came up to me, gave me a hug, and said that he was my biggest fan, right? That's red flag number one with Benjamin Yu. All right, if you see this picture, Benjamin Yu. It's a curious case. He works for Omni Partners. You see him here. Does he work for them? Why they're giving a college, not even a college, a high school dropout who can't speak English, why are they giving him so much money, as we saw there in the other sheets, $100,000 to run? All right. So, if anybody in the audience can tell me, let me know, and we'll continue this investigation. That's why it's so important for you to do your research. Should you vote for this guy? Right? Should you vote for this guy to run for office and represent you and to manage your taxpayer money? Should you vote for Benjamin Yu? Should you vote for him just on the fact that he gave me a hug and said he was my biggest fan? Doesn't seem somebody something mentally stable to be on state assembly, the 5th largest economy in the world. Hey, always remember, truth is stranger than fiction, my peoples. All right? And I always close with Winston Churchill. You make a living from what you get, but you make a life. You make a life from what you give. And I'm giving you knowledge. All right? Actually, I'm going to, before I close, for the people watching the stream, I'm going to show you how to look up information here. All right? Let me go back. I have ADD, so this happens to me all the time now. But it's worth it for the people that are sticking in. All right? So you go into Google and you go Cal Access. Click Cal Access. And then you look for, go to campaign finance. You go to candidates and elected, and then you look for the particular race you're going on. So then you go to state 768, you got the 4 people running. And let's go through the 4 people running, right? You have Choi, all right? And Choi is part of the racist Republican, Orange County Republicans, head racist Fred Whitaker, the Godfather, the Capo, Don Wagner, who, in addition to being racist, they're extremely corrupt and bought off by developers, and they love other people's money and mismanaging tax money. So that's Choi, all right? All right, so let me take it off full screen. You can go do it this way. So that's Stephen Choi, right? So we go from Stephen Choi, we go to Eugene Fields, okay? Gets crazy with Eugene Fields. Eugene Fields belongs to CAIR. C-A-I-R. CAIR. C-A-I-R. And they are a terrorist organization. They came at me because I am on the board of the Orange County Diversity Council. And they came at me, they were rude, they were nasty, they wanted to impose Sharia and Islamic law on everybody. And I'm like, no, man, this is for everybody to come and share ideas. This is a safe place where women are allowed to wear whatever they want and allowed to share. And when a woman talks, do not interrupt her. Do not show her any respect. So, Eugene Fields is part of CARE, who basically I had to kick out of the Orange County Diversity Council for being rude to women and for trying to impose Islamic law, Sharia law, on us Westerners. Right? And they would not answer the question, should an infidel be put to death, right? Because I am an infidel. I do not believe in Muhammad. I do not believe in the Islamic God. So I'm an infidel. So it says in the Quran, should infidels be put to death? And I asked him, I said, hey, should infidels be put to death? And if somebody believes that, should they be in a workplace where they have access to weapons and blow the whole place up? Would not answer. Had to kick him out of the diversity council. So that's Eugene Fields, who's also running in there with Benjamin Yu. Okay? Crazy world we live in, man. Crazy world. See who else? You have Melissa Fox. You can research and access. She has $126,000 on hand. So let's look at the figures, right? Melissa Fox has $126,000. Benjamin Yu has $92,000 cash on hand. Eugene Fields, our terrorist friends, has $200. Why is he even running where everybody else has $100,000 and he has $200? And let's look at our friend Stephen Choi. He should have like $500, like 500,000. He has $313,000 cash on hand to run, right? So in that race, we got close to $600,000. So you got to do your research, people. So you don't vote for a terrorist, and you don't vote for either a Chinese organized crime or a Chinese government agent. And I'm not making this stuff up. Do your own research, people. So you're not saying, hey, man, that dude is crazy. No. Do your research, man. God help us. All right? And then what I'll do is I'll close with describing a few pictures that we have here of the people that I've been talking about. The people watching. So, first picture, we'll reiterate. Here you got Benjamin Yu. Here you got the corrupt mobster of the town, Joe Moscatello, owns Pepinos. There you got a guy that's making $300,000 as a retired double dipping of taxes. Here you got a psycho by the name of Mark Nazi Murphy, right? That's all we have to say. He's been coming at me for years, and I've been beating him for years. He's like what Jerry Nadler is to Donald Trump. He's Jerry Nadler, and I'm Trump. But I always beat him, and we'll continue to beat him. And then you have Mark, empty suit, racist, corrupt, Tetimer, who's the mayor. Like I said, God help us. All these people are corrupt. They all take payoffs from developers to overcrowd schools, to increase commute times, and to ruin the quality of life. All these people in 5 years will be living in Arizona because this place will be out of control based on their decisions. All right. Let's see. All right, so we'll share this other picture here with you. Here's the corrupt mayor, Nikki, who got the $1,500 from, you guessed it, Benjamin Yu. right? Gave me a hug, said he was my biggest fan, right? I wonder if I'm still, his biggest idol, and he might still be my biggest fan. Who knows, right? See if I can find that. One more picture I'm going to share with you people, the ones that are watching on the stream. So you have the visual of the corruption, right? Seeing is believing, right? All right, so this is the last picture I'm going to share with you. And this is actually a funny picture. More corruption here. There's Benjamin Yu right here, right? And you have Don Capo Wagner. He is the corrupt, paid off, racist, orange. He's the capo of the Republican Party in Orange County. And here you have meth head, drunk, vile, probably the worst degenerate you can ever think of by the name of Scott Luca Brazzi Voigt. And what this guy does is kiss ass to the capo and everybody else. He does the Luca Brazzi kind of stuff that we saw in The Godfather. All right. So let me know if you have any questions. You can always leave a voicemail or give me a text at 858-6501. 858-863-6501. Or you can message me, and we'll have supporting blogs and documentation in the episode notes for the ones listening on the I Love South Orange County podcast. Thank you for listening. And like Winston Churchill said, right? You make a life, make a living from your labor, but you make a life from what you give. All right, thank you for listening, and educate yourself on your candidates so you don't vote for a terrorist or a Chinese government agent or a Chinese organized crime agent. All right? Have a good one, people.